because not only was I not very good at public speaking, but I did not enjoy it the least bit. I'd rather have a root canal than get up in front of a bunch of people. Anyone else share that same early Maryland? But along the way, I noticed that I picked up a lot of other things from Toastmasters that I had never expected. Anyone else have that too? The other benefits? One of the benefits I picked up was I used to not enjoy also going to new events or meeting new people and having small talk. It was just something that I didn't see the point of. I'd rather talk to people that I've known for a while. But I've learned through Toastmasters that everyone has a story, and there's something to learn from that story. Just seeing people get up and tell their story, I'm always so interested to hear the speeches. So this lesson came in handy one day. I was in Minneapolis on a business trip to a trade show. And I had a little bit of extra time to get back to the airport, so I decided instead of taking a taxi, I'd see what the local train system was like to the airport. So I jumped on the train, and actually this wasn't going to be part of my story, but the first guy I saw, as a side note, we locked eyes for a second. This guy had the reddest eyes you've ever seen before in your life. He was obviously in favor of legalizing marijuana. And so he was right across from me. We locked eyes for a second, and he must have realized what I was thinking in my mind. It's like, wow, I've never seen someone with such red eyes before. And we both started laughing hysterically. And then we had a kind of a strange 5-minute conversation. And he got up and left. I said, hey, that went so well. You know, I had fun, passed some time. Next guy came and sat down, and he had a white suit on, all white, with a big white hat, like he was a chef. And he came and sat down, and just because of my extreme Toastmasters background, I said, well, why not strike up a conversation with this guy? He was reading a magazine, and he was middle age, 40 to 50s. He was a black man with curly hair, and I learned that he spoke very, very quickly, but cool, not like a nervous quickly. And he was the kind of guy that you could just wind up, and he would go and go and go. So that was perfect for me to pass my time. So I said, this is pretty much all I said during the whole conversation. I said, so you're a cook? And he said, cook, chef, cook, chef, cook, chef, cook, chef. It's like, I'm a chef. Well, cook, I like cook too, cook. So I tell my guys, you gotta be a cook first, and then you can end up being a chef. You know, you gotta learn to cook food. What are you really doing? You're not a chef yet, you gotta be a cook. That was just the start. So then he went on, and he explained to me that about 5 years ago, he had led a crew of guys, and he was a remodeler for homes down in Atlanta. So he had about 5 vans, he had 5 different guys doing this work, and he was leading this crew. And of course, in 2008, he went down, he sold a van, down to 4 vans, 3 vans, 2 vans. Pretty soon he was 1 van, 1 guy, and no work left. So he's sitting around, he's got no work, and he said to himself, well, I won't be unemployed if I go back to school, then I'll be a student, right? So he said, well, what would I want to do? And he went into a story about how he remembers growing up sitting on top of his grandfather's fridge with his little legs dangling down, and his grandfather would be cooking, and he would set him up on the fridge, and he'd look down on the pot of vegetables his grandfather would be cooking, and he'd see the whole process go to work, and he realized how he's always loved cooking. So he went up to the Cordon Bleu School up in Minneapolis, drove his van up there. Now at this point he had been unemployed for a while, didn't have much money, so he was going to class during the day, and then he would sleep in his van at night. In the morning, he said this with no drama at all. He said, I'd go to McDonald's, I'd take he got a little bird bath. Then I would go to my school, put on my chef's uniform, get out, get a little sandwich at McDonald's, put in my chef's school, and then go to class. Well, you would never know it, right? From sitting in class with this guy, he looked very well presented. That he was basically living in his van, homeless. So he was down there, and a cop came by one night and said to him, sir, you can't be, I've seen you down here for a couple of days, and you can't be sleeping in this parking lot of a school. So he explained to him the whole situation, and he said, I'm going to school, and he said, you should have seen my van. I had the bed laid down, and you could not tell me that was not the Taj Mahal. I thought that was so cool. The most positive attitude I've ever seen before. He said to grab himself, a small fridge of food and hang out in there, no problem. Well, the cop went away, never said a word again, told the principal of the school, and the principal came out one day while he was sleeping there and offered him a job to cook for the school for a place to stay. So now he had a place to stay, he was going to school, and he was all set up. And by the end, the doors opened, and I suddenly realized I was at the airport. And I said, hey, is this the airport? He said, yeah. Grabbed my stuff, and I jumped off, and I didn't talk to him again. I thought about that story for so long, and I thought, wow, that is cool. It's such a lesson that we learn over and over again. But I always forget and then relearn it. We talk about it in every major religion. It's that you can't control the outside, right? Your outside circumstances, you have only limited control over. But you do have control over how you react to things and what your attitude is. And this guy could have told his story as if he was a victim of the recession, of other problems, but instead his story sounded like a new career and a new opportunity for the next phase of his life. So now I appreciate hearing these strangers' stories.